Hi, my name is Tony Kovatch, and I'm the artist in residence here at Liberty Bellows in Philadelphia. I want to welcome you back to our series of instructional videos for the piano accordion. In the past, we've discussed how to play alternating bass lines on major chords in the left hand. Today, we're going to discover how to use alternating bass lines on both minor and seventh chords, and use that knowledge to learn a new tune, Bei Mir Bist. Schoen. First of all, if you haven't seen the lesson which first introduced alternating bass on major chords, Lesson 10 from How to Play a 12-Bass Accordion, I strongly recommend that you start with that video because today builds upon that previous learning. In our last unit, we were playing major chords just like this, bass chunk, and then we decided that it would be a lot more interesting if we alternated the bass line. So if playing on the C major row, we're playing C bass with our ring finger, then the chord with our middle finger, and then we played G with our index finger, and then the chord again. So the pattern is bass, chord, bass, chord. This would make our bass accompaniment a lot more interesting, especially if we're holding a chord for a long period of time. However, while the same basic concepts are the same when we play alternating bass on minor and seventh chords, the fingering has to change. Because we were using our middle finger on the major chord button, it made perfect sense to use our index finger to play the alternating bass button. But because we use our index finger to play the minor chord button, it makes sense to use the middle finger to play the alternating bass button, just like this. So that's ring finger, index finger on the chord, middle finger on the alternating bass button, and then index on the chord. In other words, we have two different fingerings for major alternating bass and minor alternating bass. Here's what major looks like, where the index finger plays the alternating bass, and here's what it looks like on a minor chord, where the middle finger plays the alternating bass button. The same fingering that we use for minor chords, we're going to use for seventh chords. For the same reason, we use our index finger on the chord button, which means that we're going to use our middle finger to play the alternating bass. So here's what C7 would look like with alternating bass. To solidify this idea, let's do a short exercise. We're going to play C minor for 2 measures, and then G7 for 2 measures. Let's try doing those back and forth. All of this will come in handy as we transition to our song of the day, Bei Mir Bist. Schoen. Our song is in C minor, so let's quickly review that scale. The notes in a C minor chord are C, E flat, and G. However, the inversion we're going to use has G in the bottom, just like this. G, C, and E flat. You're going to start with your thumb on G, and your fourth finger is going to play the E flat, just like this. The next phrase is going to highlight a G7 chord, which is our dominant in the key. Because our dominant is major in a minor key, that means that our B is going to be natural today. That means we're in harmonic minor. This phrase mostly highlights that chord. Ending on the C. So the whole first phrase looks like this. The second phrase of the song is identical to the first phrase, so let's play that again. The B section of the song can be played entirely in a 5-finger closed position, starting on C. Before we highlight our F minor chord, there's a little bit of a lead in, just like this. We're going to walk up the scale. Then we walk down and highlight a C minor chord. So that phrase is going to look like this. The next phrase of the song starts with the same material. But we're going to end by playing a G 3 times. The whole B section sounds like this. The very last phrase of the song is identical to the first phrase. Let's play the whole right hand melody. The left hand simply follows the chords that you're highlighting in your right hand melody. During the first phrase, we highlighted a C minor chord, then a G7 chord, and then a C minor chord. So we're going to do the same thing in our left hand. That's going to be 4 measures of C minor, then 2 measures of G7, followed by 2 measures of C minor. This is a great opportunity to try your alternating bass line. C minor. G7. Back to C minor. The second phrase is the exact same thing. C minor. G7. C minor. So the whole A section sounds like this. The next section of the song is going to focus on an F minor chord. You're going to play F minor for 2 measures, then C minor for 2 measures, then F minor again for 2 measures, and G7 for 2 measures. So it will look like this. F minor, C minor, F minor, G7. And the last phrase is identical to the first phrase. The entire left hand accompaniment is going to sound like this. C minor, G7, C minor. Now repeat, C minor, G7, C minor, to F minor, C minor, F minor, G7. Now the first part again, C minor, G7, C minor. Join us next time as we play a song that utilizes alternating bass on major, minor, and 7th chords. Thanks for watching.